Hmm. Morning, iPad 9.
Yeah, I think I got that fixed after class yesterday, but I was like, what the world? Oh man, I got to log in. It's all good.
Yeah, it's the same way with me. I've had so many iPads and iPhones. They kind of line up with different numbers, and I don't know which one is which. And I should delete all the old ones, but I don't. How's things going?
It's going. We made it through last week, which was a blessing. And we
How'd
had
you
a
do
really
that? Did you find another oven somewhere, or?
well, as it worked out, I had a couple of options. None of them were good. But my wife's trying to get her mother's house on the market for sale. So the house is basically cleaned out and totally empty. And so we just went in and re-cleaned up the whole kitchen. So I just utilized that for the week. So that kind of bought me a week to get everything done I needed to do. And now we're backtracking and got some conversation with some new things this week. A couple of churches that got commercial kitchens. So we were at a crossroads anyway, where we needed to make a decision to move out of a house. So we're trying to get that taken care of. If I can't get it done between now and the end of the year, certainly by the end of the year, we're going to move forward into being in another space. So we're going to get it out of the house. Because I told my wife, I said, I can't replace a stove every 5 years. I said, that's just not going to work. But it was the darndest thing. I mean, I have never heard of a ceramic top just shattering the way that did. It was crazy.
Yeah, so we have a ceramic cooktop, and we haven't had them crack like that, but they're not foolproof. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you spill water on them. One other thing, have you looked at any of these shared kitchens that various community colleges and other people have? Is there anything there?
We've got a couple in the area, in the neighborhood. I say relatively close, within about a 20-minute drive. Part of there's some issues there. Part of the equipment that I have is specialty equipment, so I've got to take my own equipment there. Then it's got to be wired to go in, or at least a plug available that it can be plugged into. Then they want to charge me rent. Then they want to charge me storage. And I'm like, you know what? You're nickel and diming me to death. What I'm already set up to do with the house. So from their point, it didn't make sense. But that may be where we end up having to go. Quite honestly, that may be. So we are fortunate that we've got several of those options available.
Yeah. Do you remember our friend Ginny O?
Yep.
That's how she functions. She uses those, or has in the past used those those kitchens. I think she's been through just about everyone in the state at this point. I'm not sure.
And that's what I don't want to run into. I don't want to have to go from here to there, the honor. So, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to work out because, like I say, we're already planning to upscale one more time to get us through the year, fourth quarter, and in first of the year, we'll see what goes from there. So,
yeah. Well, and I'll move on. I promise not to keep harping on this, but the other thing I thought about with you is, you remember those old plantations always had the kitchen house that was behind the big house? So you could build a little whatever they're called, the little kitchen house out behind your house, and that would be cool. You're probably not allowed to.
I would love that. No, we were looking to put in an in-law suite is what I wanted to call it, and it basically be a studio apartment set to the side street, but the city won't let us run water and sewer to it. So I've got to tap it into the water line in the sewer from the house and tie that in. And then we're still not it wouldn't be a commercial kitchen. It would still be a home kitchen. So we're still kind of under this cottage laws in a sense. So
I got you.
Yeah, I thought I had an out, but no, they got me there too. So, but it's good. It's all good. It's a game either way we go. Right?
Whack-a-mole. Hey, Denise, how are you?
Good. How are you? Just listening in. Sorry about whatever happened there, Kyle.
You know what? Everybody, we all run into obstacles. We just have to overcome. And it was just one of those challenges.
Let me record that. I'm going to play that over and over. That was classic. I love that.
Yep. I do know that there was a guy in Garner who had his double garage actually certified as a commercial kitchen.
Wow.
So, but now that's in Garner. I don't know. Where are you again? Dollar City?
Greensboro.
Oh, Greensboro.
Greensboro.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll try and remember his name. I don't remember if he's still in business, but he did cheesecakes, and like he sold to Cheesecake Factory. So he had like all the commercial licensure or whatever, but I think he had to put the whole thing in the like, what is it, in the ground, in the cement, in the floor, like the drains and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, but his was considered commercial.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Well,
maybe there's
come
there's
to
somewhere.
Pink Hill. Come to Pink Hill. You can just put it over in your yard. No one will give a damn. No one will ever come by and see it. You know, I hate to think what's in some of these locations. I know there's some stills. I'm pretty certain of that.
Oh, wow.
They don't normally apply for, for
licensing
to make moonshine, but yeah. Hey, Jack. Hey, Julian. Grant. How are you, Grant?
Doing good, Dennis. How are you?
I'm okay. Okay. Well, I totally changed what I was going to do today because I ended up thinking that the W3 framework is just, we should have done that earlier. It doesn't make much sense to do it now. You guys are past a lot of that. So I thought we'd have a little more fun with 21 ways to blow up your company. I think you might enjoy this better. It's kind of a good end of the class type of thing. So let's get started with that. So it's only about 20 minutes or something like that. So it won't be super heavy, but let's see what we got. And try not to blow up you can blow up your kitchen, but don't blow up your company is what I always say. Okay, so here we go. All right, let's start off here. This guy's pretty good.
So when I first gave this talk, it was called 12 Ways to Blow Up Your Company. And then for those of you who don't know me, you're probably getting to know that I like to have fun and life's too short to be boring. So I later called it 14 or 15 ways to fuck up your company because after you guys innovated a few more ways to fuck things up, I got frustrated. Then it became 18 ways to fuck up your company, and then the dean at the CU Law School informed me that I wasn't allowed to use the word fuck at the law school as much as I do. Not ever, but just not as much. So now it's back to 20 ways you can blow up your startup, but as of today, it's 21. There are some things I'm going to tell you that are not fixable. So there are several of these mistakes that if you make them, it might be game over for your company. There are a lot of these that some are fixable, but all of these are really painful. And all of these things will blow up your company if you have committed them. As with every year, some of you have committed some of these already. As with every year, some of you have committed the ones that can't be fixed. With that being said, with no further ado, drum roll please. First thing you can do to screw up your company is pick a bad idea. Now, all of you are like, well, duh, that one's pretty easy. Well, stick with me for a second. Picking a bad idea isn't picking a bad idea. Let's, what's the name of your company again? The health?
Orderly Health.
Orderly Health. So, sounds like a good idea. I mean, it was good enough to get into Techstars, right? But if you're not super passionate about it, like you have to solve this thing, or you're in it for the money, or because you couldn't get a job and you happen to get into Techstars, it's already game over. And I'm surprised at how many entrepreneurs create companies and come up with ideas for the wrong reasons. If you're there, it's already game over, I can't help you. Hopefully it's not. If nothing else, use this as a filter if you decide to bring on another co-founder or other partners, that they're here because they cannot sleep until they fix this problem. They're not here for the paycheck. If you don't know your business model, you're sunk, which probably should just send a shiver down all of your spines going, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. It's all right, but always have an opinion. It's okay to have an opinion in your business model and know it's wrong. But there's so many startups that don't even have an opinion. The answer is advertising. Wrong. Like, wrong. If your business model is advertising, please leave the room now. Because it doesn't matter until you've reached such scale and none of you are there. So you're dead. Have an opinion. It will change. They always do, but always have a way to make money. The idea of we're just going to acquire a lot of users and we're going to figure it out later, it's a pretty dangerous strategy. See Twitter, yeah, right? That's really, really tough. This next one's a disease, and this one's not having defined goals, and not that if your company gets, it's really hard to get out of. There's also no pill for this yet. At this point in your company's life cycle, I would have goals every week of what you're trying to do. Every week, I'd write them somewhere. This is what we're going to get done this week. And then every Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, whenever your week ends, you sit and you look at the goals and you say, which ones do we get done? If you got them all done, awesome. Next week, let's push a little harder. You got some of them done. Why didn't you get some done? Was that out of your control? Did you get lazy? And I don't mean lazy, didn't work hard enough, but did you get lazy and just not keep yourself focused? Did something happen that changed the goal and it should have changed and you did the right thing? You got to look back. Some of these teams that I see that start off, you just run, and you don't ever like stop and look around and say, hey, how are we doing? I mean, there's a natural endpoint here at Demo Day to do that, but I think you need to do it literally on a weekly or bi-weekly basis and hold yourselves accountable. If people in your team aren't getting the job done, you got to hold them accountable. If you're not getting the job done, you got to hold yourself accountable. Maybe it means you need to change your goal, change your idea, but find out why you're not being successful. And that doesn't mean every week make excuses. This means every week set reasonable goals and hit them. You also must continue to test your hypotheses. Everyone in this room has some hypotheses about why they've created something cool and innovative. You figured out, hey, wait a minute, there's a bust in the market. I'm going to fix it. All of you guys are trying to fix something that's broken. Those are all based on a certain set of hypotheses. Those core hypotheses, you need to stress test all the time. Make sure that something hasn't changed in the market or in competitor or something that has changed everything. Most of you won't have this problem because of what you're doing, but there's companies, I mean, for instance, the drone company, goodness gracious, some ornery regulator wakes up one day, your whole company's dead. Of course, so is mine 3DR, but hey, we can drink beer and cry together. Think about how things are going. Be on top. I assume you're part of the Drone Foundation or at least know about them. If you don't, let me introduce you and make sure that you guys get in there so you can see what the latest, greatest things that the country is saying about drones. But make sure you're always testing your hypotheses. Similarly, screwing up your IP, your intellectual property, this is a huge one. Don't go blabbing people the secrets of your intellectual property. Be careful who you talk to. I hate to say it, but we've had a team here who went to a bar here in Boulder and started talking about their idea, and the person at the bar went home and filed a patent the next day on it. Oh shit. Be really, really freaking careful. Now this doesn't mean walk around with a little bitty NDA saying, yeah, would you have a beer with me? Here's an NDA. Not cool. Not cool. That screams loser. But be careful. Not everybody has their heart in the right place. Be very careful of reputation constraints of who you're dealing with. In other words, if you're talking to somebody new, figure out why their reputation to them matters enough that they will not screw you over. I.e., this is a Techstars mentor. If they screw me, Techstars will throw them out of the program. Yeah, that seems like that they'll probably behave correctly, right? The question I get asked the most by entrepreneurs is, Jason, I don't want to talk to VCs because I'm scared you're going to steal my, take my idea and steal it and start your own company. For me, my constraints for my reputation are I'm more constrained than somebody who nobody knows, right? If I do something wrong, it's front page news. Make sure that the people you're dealing with have similar constraints that that they're going to behave correctly. If you don't understand your competition, you're also hosed. I'm trying to think here. Well, let's use an example. Does everybody know what Farmville was on Facebook? The game that you make like farm plants and stuff, or whatever they do on farms, animals? I don't know. Never been to a farm. I'm from downtown Detroit. Everybody know what Farmville is? Okay, who wants to tell me who the competitors are to Farmville? Sleep, correct? Next. Playing volleyball, drinking by yourself alone in the basement. Not that I'm judging anyone. Any way to waste time. That's your competition. The single weakest part of every pitch that I see is competitive analysis. Now, what's interesting is whenever I see an entrepreneur come and pitch me, and I know more about their business than them, that is so unsexy. So unsexy, because I want to fall in love with you, right? I want you guys to come in, I want you to wow me, I want to be like, oh my gosh, this person's incredible, and their idea is great, let's get married, right? That's the, I always say like, judging, people always ask me, how do you judge a company? I'm like, I want to fall in love. It's just same energy as the first date, except I don't want to sleep with you, right? It's that important. And if you come in and I know more about your company than you, total turn off. Know about your competition. Take a big picture look at it. Next up, not staying on top of your PR, internet, and customer reviews. It's incredible to me how many companies don't pay attention to their Amazon reviews who sell a piece of hardware. How they're not paying attention to what's being said of them in the press. You got to pay attention to this stuff, folks. You've got to respond to the angry mobs of the internet if they decide they want to come lynch you. You got to be ahead of it, not behind it. Furthermore, a lot of you are going to make the mistake. You're going to go out to the press too early. It's really easy to get tech. You guys all think, wow, if I'm in TechCrunch, it's great and it's cool because you put it on your Facebook and your mom says, oh my God, how proud I am. Sally's done such a great job. And then like her bridge partners say, oh my God, I remember when she was just 2 and she used to lick dogs, and it's like perfect, right? It's really freaking easy to get in TechCrunch or any media place once. Come on, newspaper people want to write about something new. It's almost impossible to get the second one. So think about when you want to pull that trigger. You may want to go later than sooner, yeah. I mean, what type of activities would I do from a PR standpoint if I'm pre-product? Exactly. I would do nothing. Nothing. I always tell companies, shut the hell up until you have something to sell. Now, you can do pre-orders. Most pre-orders are total failures. You get some like our company Glowforge that just raised $29 million in 30 days, and you're like, thank God we got a hit. But we also didn't go out there till we knew we were a few months away from shipping. I forget what the statistics are, they change all the time, but it's something like 80% of the hardware stuff on Kickstarter never even ships, right? You just wasted all this goodwill and PR and you weren't ready. If you pick a bad first 2, 3, 4 employees, it's also game over. Now, the first couple employees we all know, or you should know, are going to set the culture of your company. Doing culture enemas or culture implants has not been invented yet in the United States or the world as far as I know. So once you have a culture, it's like a prize on the Wheel of Fortune, it's yours to keep. You may be asking yourself, how do I hire a good employee if I have no money? I've got my Star Power note, I haven't raised much money. How do I hire great people? I'm competing against all these other great startups. You know what? As a venture capitalist, if you're not able to attract awesome employees right off the bat, and you say, well, I don't have money, it's not my fault, my answer is bullshit. The first employees don't join because of the money. They believe in you. They believe in your idea. They want to solve this as badly as you do. And if they don't have that passion, you're in a lot of trouble. And if you can't recruit and inspire people to join you, you're never going to have a great company. So it is a tremendous red flag if I look at the first few employees and I'm like, ugh, these aren't that good. As a sort of corollary, beware of the high-performing asshole. We all know these people, right? The person who's awesome at what they do, but you hate them. We all know them. It's like, if those of you who know anything about Greek mythology, it's like the siren on the rocks saying, come hither, come hither. And the next thing you know, your boat is washed up on the shore. These people are never the right people to hire. Never hire the high-performing asshole. Moving on to, this is sort of, we'll go to the cost side. If you staff up too quickly and hire ahead of revenue, you're also dead. The number one job of a CEO is what?
Get money in the door.
You say get money in the door. What else? There we go. The number one job of the CEO is not to run out of money. Because what happens when you run out of money?
You're dead.
You're dead. Well, you don't, I mean, not in this country. Maybe in like Russia, probably run out of money, you're dead. No, seriously, what happens when you run out of money? Everybody loses their jobs. All those people you hired, shitty as you feel, guess what? Those people all have to go home and tell their spouses and kids they don't have jobs anymore. And guess what? That's your fault. So don't run out of money. That's your number one job. But part of this is people who hire too quickly. They staff up too quickly. They do expenses too quickly. And it happens all the time. The one that we see a lot is the CEO who's having trouble selling their blah, whether that's software or a widget or whatever. And so what do? Since they're having trouble selling it, you go hire a
Sales.
Yeah, and how does that work? It doesn't. If the CEO and the founders cannot sell the product, there is no salesperson in the world. So if I was a founder and I said, hey, I got this great product, and you say, great, have you had any luck selling it? And I say, no. Red flag?
Totally.
Move on to another company?
Yep.
Thank you. Yep. So the corollary is the salesperson you can hire when you can't sell anything sucks. It's not you. Don't hire. That's just one example of staffing up too quickly. All right, this is one of my favorite ones. Not firing people quickly enough. This is a huge problem. Some of you already in this room probably should be fired. Statistics prove there's at least one or two or three of you that your co-founder already wants you fired. No co-founder or CEO has ever said, damn it, I wish I hadn't fired John so soon. That has never been said. The other thing that's never been said is, damn, I wish I hadn't broken up with my girlfriend too soon. Also has never been said. I always tell people, if there's anything you remember about this point is once you fall out of love, you never fall back in. Ever. Ever. If you fall out of love with someone in your company, you must break up with them. Next up, not paying attention to people's incentives. Now, this is a massive one in what I'll call the black box world of venture capital. I'm going to give you a hypothetical. You got to pick the answer. Hypothetical, you're raising $1 million. You can raise $800,000 from your favorite VC and $200,000 from friends and family, or you can raise a third of it from your favorite VC and 2/3 of it from two other VCs who are really well regarded and awesome. In terms of the same, valuations the same, what's the better deal?
The second.
The second, who said the second? Why?
Because all the VCs had the same interest and alignment on the investment.
Somebody tell me why he's 180 degrees off. I'm going to read this again. Not paying attention to other people's incentives. You're all internalizing it. You're all selfish bastards. What are my incentives? So if I've got 800,000, I have more money in. So my bosses, my investors, are going to be like, hey, that's a lot more than $300,000. Are you paying attention to this? Second, if there's three, who plays doubles tennis? Anybody ever play doubles? Anybody watch doubles? Come on. What you guys, God, you guys are wimps. It's not like I asked you what's your social security number or if you'd like to go out with me tonight. I fucking asked you if you're playing tennis. And you're like, eh. Tennis, doubles tennis. What happens when the ball goes right down the middle line?
You both go for it.
Or you both look at it. But either way, bad outcome. When you've got three VCs on the board, what happens? Probably, look, we're all busy. Shit, if I can freeload off those two guys, awesome. You get total apathetic. Nobody owns it, right? You want to have a lead investor. That's called paying attention to my incentives. Now, you did mention something that was the wrong answer for the question, but something you said, it depends where a VC is in their life cycle. If I'm a first year, if I've just raised Foundry Group 2016, you be invested with Foundry Group 2016 or Bullet Time Ventures 2012. Just based on the years, which fund might be more appealing to you? 2016, why?
Because you have more time to get to your.
Because I just raised the fund, my investors aren't expecting money back for 10 years. The clock hasn't started ticking for me. What about 2012? Anybody know the clock's ticking. Anybody know how long a venture fund lasts? 10 years. There you go. I need to have an exit. If I'm a 2012 fund, I need an exit quick. And the list keeps going. What are the incentives of VCs now that the markets are cratering? Well, how does that affect you? Well, let's see. We know that the top of the market, all the unicorns are dying. So that means all those VCs are taking a bath, which means they're going to just run out of the market and say, oh my God, we're scared. So that means the VCs that do the stage below them, they've got nobody to fund their companies. So if they don't have enough money to fund their companies, all those companies are going to die. And how it starts feeding through the system. How long does it take to hit early stage venture capitalist? It hasn't hit us yet. Probably will. But what are the incentives? Maybe that means I can drive a harder bargain for you on valuation. Maybe it means you should raise more money to try to weather the storm. Think about these things. But the point is, when I said, it was very interesting, when I said focus on other people's incentives, y'all went introspective and said, what's up for us? That's okay. But no, you got to pay attention to other people's incentives. They're just as important as yours. All right, couple lawyer ones, because I used to be a lawyer. Don't hold it against me. I was young and I needed the money. Screwing up your cap table or who owns your equity of your company. Ooh boy, this is a big one. How do you screw this up? You send over an email saying, hey, for joining my company, I'll give you 5% of the company. You do napkin arrangements. You fire a founder and you don't get them to sign a waiver or a release saying that, hey, it's all good that you're kicking me out here, but here's my release. And by the way, I'm reaffirming how much of the company I own. These things are really, really hard to do. What if you priced your angel round too high? Say you built some Boulder angel and had a $20 million post-money valuation. Well, congratulations to you. You're never raising money again because I'm never going to fund a company with that high of a valuation. Be really careful on your cap table. Be careful who you give equity to. Make sure you've got vesting attached. These are things that are really, really hard to fix because people are going to get greedy and think that this is worth something, and they're going to try to keep what they have. Next up, you must be as strategic in your fundraising as you are in your business. Now, this is one that people screw up a lot. You work so hard at your business and you're so exhausted and you've gotten to the point where it's time to raise money that you've actually lost the energy or the will to be as strategic in fundraising as you are in your business. What does this mean? This means coming up with a form email and sending a form email to a whole bunch of VCs. This means not figuring out which VCs are right for you and going after the wrong ones. This means not thinking about every single communication and that you have one chance to make a first impression. There was a commercial. Remember, you only get one chance to make a first impression. It's like Listerine or something. Was that it? Okay. Keep that in mind. That is the truth. Be incredibly strategic. You should be, if it were me, I'd be creating a Google Doc now of who are potential VCs I might want to meet and why, and what is my entrance into them. And the entrance could be, Natty knows them. The entrance could be, my brother knows them. My entrance could be, I know he went to the University of Michigan and plays drums, and you know what? I went to Michigan State and played clarinet. Perfect. All right? By the way, last week I had the most strategic entrepreneur pitch I've ever seen. Guy sends me, I'm not shitting you, a video of him, and he's like, hello, Jason, my name is blah, and we're working on blah, and I'm listening, I'm like, huh. They're playing the Average White Band, Pick Up the Pieces in the background. I like that song. Wait a minute, I think that's my fucking band playing that song. Holy shit, he's using my band's music as the soundtrack to his pitch? Holy shit. And he was, and then he got to the end and he said, and just in case you want to know what it would look like for us to work together, and he flashes a picture of me on stage playing guitar, and I do this stupid thing that my wife fucking hates. She calls it my beaker face because my face inverts, and I have white man's over by. It's horrendous. Thank God I'm married because I'm pretty much undateable after people see me like that. And he mocks me and does the exact same face and dashes his head to the music, and that was his 90-second intro. You think that guy's getting a call back? Fuck yeah, that guy's getting a call back 100% of the goddamn time. That guy, and I asked him, I said, how many VCs are you reaching out to? He said 20. He said, I've identified 20. And I said, and you're doing this for all 20 of them? He says, well, not videos, but like, yeah, I've figured out at least an idea for all 20. I go, how many have you sent out? He said, about 15. I go, how many responses you've got? He said, 12. If I could promise you 12 of 15 responses for cold emails to VCs, would you take it? Yes. Guys, strategic. You can too. Be smart. Figure that you can do all the lawyer stuff later. This is a dangerous one. I'm broke. I don't want to hire a lawyer. Trust me, none of us want to hire lawyers. Apologies to the lawyers in the room. They're expensive. I'll just figure this out later. I'll figure out the 83B stuff, the tax later, and all this stuff. Guess what? You can't actually do all that stuff later. There was a time where you could fix everything that you broke, but there are no longer, life is no longer that simple. Make sure you have a good lawyer from day one. By the way, who here has a good lawyer? I'll pick on you. You have a good lawyer?
We do.
Who is it?
Charlie Knight.
Okay, and why is Charlie Knight a good lawyer?
He's good for our stage.
How do you know? You ever been a lawyer?
How about what?
Have you ever been a lawyer before?
No.
So, how do you know Charlie's a good lawyer?
Just sort of the due diligence.
Who did the due diligence?
My partner.
How does she know? You ever been a lawyer, miss?
I actually sat with Mike Platt, and he told me that he was doing some good work for us.
Yeah, and how's Mike Platt a good lawyer? You ever been a lawyer? Who here's got a good dentist? Yeah, see, yeah. I only asked that because I've had 3 dental surgeries in the past 3 months, which is somewhat becoming evident that I don't have a good dentist. I don't know if I have a good dentist. I don't know if I have a good hip surgeon. I can walk, but I may have had a better result if I went to Julie. Probably not Julie, but maybe, you never know. I've heard she's good with knives. You know, you actually, I had to pick on you. You actually had a good answer. It was like Mike Platt is sort of a trusted resource. Everybody knows him in town. And if he says Charlie did a good job, that's probably good. And Mike is a lawyer. You got a referral from a lawyer that didn't have any incentive. Mike wasn't trying to get anything from you. And he said, yeah, Charlie's a good guy. Just keep in mind that like, finding a good lawyer isn't about like who you like. There's a lot of nice people out there who are really crappy lawyers. The boring one is pick bad advisors. That includes lawyers, accountants, mentors, advisors. You know what? Make sure that these people are, if you're paying them, they're getting, you got to pay lawyers and accountants because you just do. But everybody else shouldn't be paid cash. Maybe a little bit of equity. If anybody else asks you for cash, they shouldn't. They're bad people. Make sure you align yourself with good people. Remember, your reputation is an extension of everybody you surround yourself with. So if I meet your lawyer and I think Charlie's a jackass, that reflects negatively on you. And he's not. I like him. He's a good lawyer, by the way, just so you know. Be arrogant. Now, anybody know how long the average U.S. marriage lasts? 5 years? Who's that cynical bastard? Next.
18 years.
7.8. It's probably why it's called the 7-year itch. Have you ever heard about the 7-year itch? Anybody know the average length of time that I spend with an entrepreneur that I invest in? 10. Ergo, I'm signing up for a relationship that lasts longer than the average U.S. marriage. If you're an asshole, or you're arrogant, or I don't think you can learn, I don't want anything to do with you either. Getting the Silicon Valley, and I'm going to pick on you, the Silicon Valley, getting the Silicon Valley hype tech crunch machine of my shit don't stink, I'm a startup god, is probably the most unattractive human being I can think of. If you want to have a real experience and start a real startup and actually do something good, don't be an asshole. Don't be an arrogant. Know what you know what you don't know. Be willing to learn and partner with people. You're not always right. Nobody is. Next up, if you can't figure out what you can control and what you can't control, your brain will blow up. So in every startup, there is what I know, there's what I know that I don't know, and what I don't know that I don't know. You can really worry about the first two, and that's okay. Those can keep you up at night. I give you permission. That I'm going to worry about what I don't know that I don't know, you got to let that go away. You don't know what Google's going to do tomorrow. You don't know what Apple's going to do tomorrow. You don't know what your competitor's going to do tomorrow. You know what? That's okay. Like, control the things you can. Maybe dip your toe in the water and try to like hypothesize about what might come down later, but try not to just let the monkey brain happen where you're worried about everything. Just worry about what you can control and control it as much as you can. Being overly emotional instead of analytical. Now, I'm not saying be a robot, although we do invest in robots with the hope that one day we can replace you all and have the robots start the startup so we can just give them the ideas. I'm totally kidding, come on. That being said, there are a lot of startup founders who are highly emotional. Some people may call them hypomanic. For those of you who have taken my class at CU, you know I love to talk about the Hypomanic Edge, which is a psychological study of what drives founders and what the personality type is for founders of startups, which you all are. Being an emotional, empathetic human being is wonderful. Wearing your heart on your sleeve with all of your employees and letting them ride your roller coaster that you will invariably ride as a founder is a dangerous thing. You got to be presidential. You got to be analytical. You got to be calm. You got to smooth over the rough patches for your team. If you want to come talk to, the folks who run the program or your board or even your investors and complain about how bad life is and how you're completely out of gas, that's okay. That's cool. But let's not wear this on our sleeve, let everybody else see it because it's damaging to you and your fellow colleagues. Yeah. The question is, what's sort of the relationship between founders and the first employees, especially on an emotional level? It's usually very close. I know a few successful firms that eventually one day they start calling the first and second employee some sort of founder or telling, it wouldn't be there without you. So you make the right hire and they last, a while. But yeah, if people start feeling more like colleagues, not us and them between founders and first employees. Kind of along the scope of we were talking about pre-sales that don't follow through is don't overpromise and underdeliver. And I think most people take a wrong definition of this. They say, well, yeah, I always do what I say I'm going to do. No, I mean, you really got to say what you're going to do all the time to everyone. If you meet with a mentor and they give you great advice and you say you're going to follow up and you don't, you're dead to me. Dead to me. Now, if you don't tell me you're going to follow up and you don't follow up, that's fine. I don't care. I can use one less email. Always do what you're going to say you're doing. At the micro level, from mentors to promising employees to holding people accountable to telling the board what you're going to do and actually doing it, you have to deliver what you promise. So you know what? You're all enthusiastic. You're all founders. It's natural to have this over-optimistic sort of look in the world. Don't fall into the trap because you get one or two screw-ups like that and then people just start tuning out. We don't believe anything you're going to say. It's the same thing when negotiations. I always say I do a negotiations lecture sometimes here, and I always say never make a threat you're not willing to back up, because as soon as you make a threat and you don't back it up, I know you're full of shit. This is the newest one. This was added last year. This is the sad one, but it's the harsh reality. So if there's only one you remember, I kind of want you to remember this one. Your personal life is no longer your personal life. You have one life. You don't have a work life. You don't have a personal life. You have life. As founders of tech companies, with today's scrutiny, media, backlash, politicization, national inquirization, whatever it is, whatever you do in your personal life will affect your company. If you do something bad enough to end up in a newspaper, I have to fire you. If you do something bad enough to piss off your employees, you lose your bully pulpit to lead. This is, can you get away with a DUI? I don't know. Maybe. But it's not like the old days. You are not anonymous. Everything you do will be held against you in the court of public opinion. And that is, you don't get a lawyer, you don't get to shut your mouth up. This isn't fucking Law and Order. You're screwed. So be sure that if you're going to do this, you're a startup founder 24/7. I remember when I went to law school, they told us that we were lawyers 24/7, 365, which means when I was a lawyer, if I got picked up for a DUI, I could lose my law license. If I didn't make child support payments, I could lose my law license. If I hit somebody in a bar, I could lose my law license. Well, congratulations, startup founders. You're just like a lawyer now in that respect.
Let's see. All right. One thing I want to point out about this is he is a pretty typical venture capital guy. I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure, but that's a pretty good straw man of what a venture capital guy is like. So in his case, he's he's in there talking to startups, which most venture capital guys hate to do. So I have to hand it to them. But this sort of thing that he's talking about, I think applies not just to potential investors, but to potential customers, potential, whether it's wholesale accounts, whatever. And particularly if you all start to do a lot of live stuff, it kind of brings you into the lives of the people that are watching you. So I think it's a sound way to kind of operate your business. Many of you are solo entrepreneurs, or you have one or two people, so it isn't quite the same situation. But I think that his very first comment about how motivated are you to do this, right? We talk about what is your why. And he goes so far as to say, you have to do this, you want to do this, you must do it. It has nothing to do with money or anything else, which I think is I don't believe that myself, but to some degree, you have to be motivated because it is hard. And there's a lot of stuff that will come your way that will knock you off your horse if you're not, really, really committed to it. So anyway, I just kind of open it up to any comments that any of you want to share, or any reactions you have to what he was saying. I do want to make one point, is that notice he did not talk about numbers. He didn't go into a lot about that. Numbers are a logical outcome of a successful business. If a business is being done correctly, that should be an outcome. He talked about nice people and people being nice and all that kind of stuff. But the end result is you have to have a business that is viable to even do any of this. So I just want to make the point that was not a heavy technical numbers oriented approach. It's much more about the character and the unspoken stuff that kind of goes on with you and your business. So I'll just kind of throw it open if anybody wants to observe or comment on it. I'd love to hear what you think. Come on, Denise, you're good. Denise is the new Kime.
I don't know about that.
No, I used to call on Kime. He's been in my class for a while, so I tend to call on him. So
Okay, gotcha. Well, I really, I don't have employees yet. I've just got a couple of 1099s, but fire fast it's so true. In my past work life, that was so true. I never fired someone and then wished I had done it, wished I had waited. I always wished I had just gone ahead and done it earlier. And then guarding your intellectual property. I think that is key as well, because I've got a couple of folks that are really care about what I'm doing and want to be involved and want to help. And I'm just very protective over the recipes. It's not the same as a computer program, but yeah, I have to be really careful. And I have a mentor who reminds me that often. He's like, I know some of these people are your friends, and I know that they love you, but you just have to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Kime, what are your Kime will be Kime.
Yeah, just be. No, there's a lot of great information that he come up with. But one of the things that I try to do daily is come up with a task list, but I don't do weekly goals, which I think is going to be part of my new regimen. Is to say, okay, well, you did this on the daily, but what was your goal to accomplish for the week? And they are different, honestly. Test the hypothesis. That's always a good one. I like to go back and double check some things there, come up with new ways to approach customers and see. And one of the things that I am greatly lacking is understanding my competition. We did this show this weekend and actually had two other local vendors that were doing similar items, and we were on various arrays of levels, quite honestly. I don't know. I think we all did well. I don't know who did any better than the other. I think it was just our approach to addressing each customer base. Some of them attacked the nuts in a festival type fair where they were eating on the spot. Others were packaged for cash and carry. So yeah, it's I got to do a little groundwork with that as well. So, but no, it was good stuff.
Good. I think that when you're when you're doing a small business, I think getting that that competitive information is a challenge. It's not like reading about Google or whatever. It's just harder to find. But what I really recommend, and many of you may already do this, but I have over 200 Google alerts that I get, and I get them in various times. Sometimes I have some daily, I have some weekly. It just depends on the subject, but I find it saves me an enormous amount of time. And if you do Google Alert and get kind of into it and use quotes a lot in the alert, you'll get narrowly focused stuff on, like, for example, if any of your competitors or people in a similar space, you can make a Google Alert just for that company, and anytime they show up, you'll get a little notice. And it's free, and it's just a really quick way if you're busy to keep up with stuff. And I keep up with individuals, with companies, with industries. I have a whole bunch of different ones that I do, and I'm constantly adjusting them also. If I get a bunch of stuff that is just not what I'm looking for, I'll go and cancel that Google Alert. It happened, sometimes you just haven't figured out the right way, but I find stuff from the most obscure places you can imagine because of Google Alerts, because there's no way you can do as good a job as that damn computer. I can promise you that. You also can link things, like you can have, like Opal's candies plus got to be NC, right, in one Google Alert. And so if there's ever any kind of thing that connects the two, you'll get that as well. I'm just using that as an example. It might be a festival, it might be the state fair, whatever. There's tons of different ones out there. So I highly recommend that as a tool, Google Alerts.
Hey, Dennis, how do you do that? I don't know how do you set up Google Note? Go to Google Alerts.
Google Alerts. I just literally put in Google Alerts, and it'll take you to a page where you can start creating alerts, and you have to be signed in, whatever your Gmail account is, in order for it to work. But
and so it just sends a notification then to my email,
wherever or text. I think it gives you a choice, and it also gives you a choice of what they call digest format, which most of mine are, because I do not want to get them constantly, and that comes, I think, once a week in a digest form. So it'll have like 20 items all on one, and I can just look through it real fast. Some are maybe a little bit more, like my kids, for example. I have them as individuals because if any of that ever gets mentioned, I want it immediately, just as an example. So there's a lot of different ways you can use it. And once you set them up, give them a little bit, it takes a little bit of time for them to kind of kick in. But like I said, you might find that you're just getting a bunch of stuff that's not really what you're looking for, and you just cancel the alert. It's not a big deal, or edit it or whatever. It's not too hard to do, but yeah, Google Alerts, highly recommend it.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for your time and attention today. Tomorrow we are going to have something new from about how to relaunch your business, not just launch it initially, but how to relaunch it and relaunch it many times. So it's kind of an interesting concept. And the word launch, it's different for everybody. I think launching in some cases is like this really big deal, but you could also theoretically, launch a new model or version of your product. It doesn't have to be your whole company, right? It can be related, or you could have like yesterday was World Mental Health Day, which is something that I'm very interested in, very concerned about what's going on with mental health, especially with our young people. So, it makes a lot of sense for me. If I had a company right now, I would be launching, quote, something to celebrate World Mental Health Day or awareness of mental health. And, that's the word launch fits all that, all those criteria. So we will have that tomorrow. And I think you'll like it. I hope you will. It's from Y Combinator, which is a little bit different than Techstars, similar kind of thing, but a little bit different. And they've given me permission to use their curriculum. So it's only taken them 2 years. So they're not that bureaucratic. But anyway, Techstars, they said my first call, yeah, no problem, use them. And Y Combinator's like, wants to know if I'm a serial murderer or something. I don't know what the deal is. But anyway. Well, that's it. Well, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you tomorrow.